Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today we have another Start Collecting video for you, focusing on one of the box sets coming out alongside Broken Realms Kragnos. Today we're looking at Rattachak's Doom Coven, the box set for the Skaven coming out alongside said book. To start with, let's look at exactly what is inside this box set, talk a little bit about this, and then what we're going to do is we'll look at how we can expand it, and then look at an army list, a sample one, at the end of the video. So, to start with, how exactly do we get in this box set? So, the first thing you'll notice is that all the units inside this box set are Clan Scryer units. So, what we're going to do in this video is we're going to focus on building a Clan Scryer Skaven army list. So, to start with, we've got our Warlock Bombardier. He's a Skaven spellcaster. He's a one-cast wizard and can dispel once as well. And he's got a couple of little cool abilities about him. First of all, he's got his Doom Rocket, which is a shooting attack. Force to hit, 3 to wound, Ren 1, but damage D6. And he can choose to overcharge the weapon to make it 2d6. However, if he rolls a 1 when he overcharges, he takes 2d6 mortal wounds, which probably kills him. We've then got his spell Warp Lightning, which is a casting value of 5, and if successfully cast, you pick one enemy unit within 13 inch of him that's also visible to him, and the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Before making a casting roll, you can say you'll increase it, and you'll overcharge it, in which case, if you do so, the second casting you can say that this model will use his warp power accumulated to augment the spell. If you do so, the casting attempt is successful and not unbound, the spell inflicts D6 mortals instead of D3. If you do so though, and the casting attempt either fails or is unbound, he takes D6 mortal wounds. So, this is a common thing amongst Skaven, especially Clan Scryer, where you can overcharge a bunch of the weapons and then choose to take negative effects if it goes badly. It's part of the risk and reward of Skaven and their arcane, wacky machinery, and it's a really fun sort of mechanic to have do. I really enjoy this about Skaven, and it just makes for fun games. Like, even if they blow up, you laugh and you enjoy it. And if they don't, it goes off and it kills something, it's pretty awesome as well. Next up, we have Stormfiends, and Stormfiends are one of Clan Scryer's units that can become battle line. So how Skaven works, if your whole army is Clan Scryer units, then you get access to the Clan Scryer battle lines. You can include Master Clan units in this, so that is Grey Seers and the Skaven Rat Demons, the Vermin Lords. However, if you include any Clan Rats, any Moldy units, etc., you lose the access to the Scryer units as battle lines. So for this video, we're going to make sure everything is Scryer, so we can build a pure Scryer list, and have Stormfiends and the other battle line units, Scryer Acolytes, which we'll talk about in a second, as battle line all the time. Stormfiends are really cool. They've got a ton of different weapon variations, and there are particular loadouts of which you have to do. You cannot have all of one weapon in a Stormfiend unit, you have to have certain loadouts. So let's talk a little bit about that now. So unit of Stormfiends can have any number of models. That is obviously for open play. For match play, it is bought in units of 3. Up to 1/3 of the models in the unit can be armed with one of the following weapon options. So this is 1 in every 3 can have either a warp fire projector and clubbing blows, or wind launchers and clubbing blows. So you can have the more major shooting output. Personally, I think both of them have really good uses. Warfire throwers are great for your deep striking units. Wind launchers are great for those that are sitting more backfield. Also, up to 1/3 of models in the unit can have either grinder fists or rattling cannons. So you've got one of the combat options, and you've got the Gatling guns in here, which are not quite as long range, but have quite a high volume of power with their shooting, quite a high amount of shots. And so you're starting to see how this works with Stormfiends. You've effectively got, and then you've got another 1/3 which you can choose to either have Doomflayer Gauntlets and Warpstone Laced Armor, or Shock Gauntlets and Warpstone Laced Armor. So what this is effectively you've got these 3 models, and each one can have one of 2 options, and you can have any of those 2 options in any loadout. Obviously, when 6, you could have one of every weapon in there if you want, but there's definitely benefits and variations to each one. So to start with, Doomflayer Gauntlets, you add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with Doomflayer Gauntlets if attacking a model after you've made a charge, and Doomflayer Gauntlets have 2d3 attacks each, 3 threes, Ren 2, damage D3, so they're pretty nice in combat. Grinder Fists effectively allow you to tunnel. Shock Gauntlets, if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with Shock Gauntlet is 6, it inflicts D6 hits instead of 1. And Shock Gauntlets have 4 attacks base, but 4s, 3s, Ren 1, damage 2, so they don't have quite the amount of spike that you can get from Doomflayer Gauntlets, but a bit more average, I find. Warp fire projectors are shooting a certain amount of models in range of the weapons, and then on 4+, they do a mortal wound to each model. Warpstone laced armor gives them an extra wound, which is cool. And then wind launchers, you can add one to hit rolls for wind launchers if the target unit has 10 or more models. In addition, wind launchers can target units that you do not have line of sight to. And then you've got your rattling cannons, which are just 3d6 shots. So they've got a very high volume of shots there. And your clubbing blows are just very basic attacks, so they are damage too. So you've got a lot of different weapon variation options with this box set. The last piece we've got in this is actually a dual kit, and while I would strongly suggest building the Warp Lightning Cannon, you can also build it as a Plague Claw Catapult. The Warp Lightning Cannon has an ability where it sort of rolls a number and it tries to do a certain amount of mortal wounds over that number. And then the Plague Claw Catapult is something for targeting hordes. It's not quite as powerful, but it does do quite a bit of damage to large big blobs. So if you've got like Grots or other Skaven armies in your local meta that have lots of models, a Plague Claw is not a bad idea, but once again, that will break your allegiance to Clan Scryer, so then you'd have to go get some clan rats. So for this box set, I would not recommend building it. However, let's look at how we can expand upon this box set. So to start off with, how can we look to expand? Well, my first suggestion would be maybe having a look at some of the different pieces. Scryer is actually one of the Skaven clans that has a lot of different bits and pieces to it you can explore. And I haven't got them all here, so there's definitely parts you can go look into later in other variations of Clan Scryer. But some of the pieces I personally like. So I think an Arch Warlock is a great piece. He's a Clan Scryer wizard that's a dual caster, so he's got 2 casts on him, which is really nice, and 2 dispels. He's also got some decent combat potential. His warp blade there is actually quite nice. So he's got a decent amount of utility around. The Arch Warlock has just a ton of different things he can do and provide for the army. Not more so just having a dual caster access to without having to go under Gracies, so he gets more of his abilities is really cool. He's also got his Warp Fire Gauntlet, which he can do some mortal wounds from, and he's got Warp Lightning Storm, which successfully cast, you can pick up D3 enemy units within 13 inch, and effectively he does Warp Lightning to D3 units instead of 1. Scryer Acolytes are another unit worth having a looking into. They're a really interesting unit. So the thing is, their battle line, if you're playing in pure Clan Scryer Allegiance, and they've got a pretty decent shooting attack, though it is only an 8-inch range, so you have to really plan how you're going to use this unit. They're forced to hit, forced to wound, Rend 2, and damage D3. They've only got 1 attack each, but they do add 1 to their hit rolls if they target a unit that has 10 or more models, and they can run and shoot later in the same turn. So they've got a base move of 6, which is nice. You've got a run, which potentially another 6, meaning you've actually got a 20-inch threat range with this unit. So while it looks quite short-ranged on paper, when you start taking into account all their rules and stuff, they really do have quite a decent threat range. And they can be quite devastating when used on larger units. Like Rend 2 damage D3 against most hordes is going to probably ignore their armor and do quite a serious amount of damage. And there are ways to get them both rerolls to hit and rerolls to wound and increase their damage and do a bunch of stuff. And we'll talk about that when we look into our army list a little bit later. Warlock Engineers. Now this is the other version of our Warlock Bombardier. So the Engineers are a different sort of wizard. They're a little bit cheaper than some of your other types of Warlocks, which is cool. So they're the cheapest option you have. You got more warp energy, where you can sort of warp charge their blades, which is cool, and they've got warp lightning, same as the Warlock Bombardier. Once again, they're just a little bit cheaper, so it's another option for a cheap little casting wizard. And Engineers are something you're gonna want to have, especially when your army starts going into larger numbers of points values. You're gonna want more Engineers around the table to be able to use some of the Clan Scryer Allegiance abilities. Lastly, a thing I really love about Clan Scryer are their weapon teams. The weapon teams come in a variety of different forms. The one I've got pictured here is a rattling gun, which is a sort of a small version of the rattling cannons you can give your Stormfiends. He's a really cool little model. He's got 2d6 shots and he's Rend 1, damage 1, so it's really cool. Just potentially a very high volume of shot, and you can always supercharge them as well to do more. You've also got access to other things like Warfire Throwers, which are little mini flamethrowers. You've got Doomflayer Gauntlet, Doom Flayers, which are little like wrecking balls. You've got Warp Grinders, which are assist in tunneling for other units, and you've just got all these different pieces. It is really cool just to have all these different little weapon teams around your force. They're really cool, and they all do provide like nice little shooting damage that you can just sort of squeeze into your army. Your opponent can go try and target all these units, but really they're wasting their time targeting these little units. They're only doing like little bits of chip damage potentially, or sometimes quite a bit if you can get, you know, warpfire throwers into a good range, but they're wasting that not targeting your big units. So they're nice little distraction pieces to have around that just continuously will pop out damage. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to go look at a little sample army list I've put together for the Skaven, and for a Clan Scryer Skaven list in particular, so let's get looking at that. And so here we have a little army list, a sample one for Clan Scryer that we can build up with the box set contents that we get from the Doom Coven. So let's talk a little bit about Clan Scryer's main ability, which is Warpstone Sparks. This is something they get in addition to the rest of the Skaven rules that we get generically. Warpstone Sparks before the battle, but before either army is set up, you roll a d3 and add 3 to the roll. The result is the number of Warpstone Sparks that can be used during the battle. You cannot use more than one Warpstone Spark in the same phase. You can pick either a friendly wizard to reroll casting, dispelling, or unbinding rolls, which is cool. So this is good for your Warlock Bombardier to help get him some spells off. In your shooting phase, you can pick a Clan Scryer hero, then pick up to 3 friendly Clan Scryer units wholly within 13 inch of that hero, and add 1 to the damage characteristic of their weapons. This is the big one. This can just turn weapons right up. Makes things like rattling cannons and rattling guns really nice. And in the combat phase, you can reroll hit rolls for the hero as well, which is pretty cool considering you've got that warp charge weapons and stuff for some of your other heroes, though not in this particular list. So let's start looking. We've got our Warlock Bombardier. He's going to be our general, as he's our only hero in this list. He's got Deranged Inventor, where he can give out rerolls to hit for one unit in the shooting phase, so long as they're within a particular range. Then got the Vigor Dust Injector as well, which is an artifact he's got. And what this one allows him to do is it allows him to, in the hero phase, you can pick one friendly Skaven tied unit wholly within 12 inch of him. You can add 1 to charge and hit rolls. However, at the start of your next hero phase, the unit takes d3 mortals. This would be quite good on things that you're going to send in, going to die anyway, or, you know, things that have lots of wounds like your Stormfiends. He's then got the spell More Warp Power, which is one of the spells from the Law of Warp Vault Galvanism. What this one does, casting value of 7, you pick a friendly unit within 12 inch, you can reroll hit and wound rolls for that unit. So his ability, Deranged Inventor, allows him to put out rerolls to hit, and then he can put out rerolls to hit and wound on a different unit. However, once again, they take d3 mortals from this, but he's got the ability to put out a ton of buffs across your army. So effectively, you're going to move this army up, or at least him with a couple of units as his giant sort of kill block. So, battle line, 2 units of 3 Stormfiends. We've gone over how these can be loaded out, so it's really up to you. I really do like the Gatling cannons in this particular army list. They just put out a lot of damage when you can start trying to get them to be damage 2 with those Warpstone Sparks. Scryer Acolytes are nice. This can make them from damage 2 to 4 if they've got Warpstone Sparks on them. And giving them rerolls to hit is really nice as well, as it just allows them to do that little bit of damage you have. Other units, you've got a Rattling Gun. Once again, I've talked about them. It's just really cool to make them damage 2 when they can put out such a high volume of power. And a Warp Lightning Cannon rounding out our list. How this list would pretty much work is you have the Warp Lightning Cannon sitting at the back of the field, and you'd have the Stormfiends sort of screening out your Warlock Bombardier and the Acolytes, using them as sort of a shield to get into and allow your units of Scryer Acolytes and the Rattling Gun and stuff like that to get in unmolested and do the damage they need to do. Meanwhile, your Stormfiends are still pumping out damage and doing some hurt, but they can definitely just play their part in sort of screening out those little Acolytes who are going to be a massive damage dealer if you can get all the buffs onto them. Rerolling hit and wounds with more warp power on those Acolytes is massive and can be just incredibly deadly. If you're running Skaven though, in particular Clan Scryer, let us know how you're going with your Skaven. What are you running? How are you going with it? What are you doing? And let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, if you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of the Sinful Gaming community, you can do so by following the link to our description in the video below. While you're on YouTube as well, why not go check out the featured channel section on my page, where you'll find a bunch of other fantastic Warhammer Age of Sigmar content creators putting out everything from battle reports, painting videos, tactical tutorials, and more besides that as well. Lastly though, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who helps support the channel via Patreon and YouTube members. Thank you all so much for your support. Thank you to our Patreons, Christian Witt, James, Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lowell, Outer and Shot First, James Crowder, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, Tim Newman, The Rising Ape, Q Dynamic, Augustin Andreas, Lopez Diaz, and Anthony B. And thank you to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Fire Titan, Steve T, The Real Zeop, and Chris Wallace. Thank you all so much for your support. It means the absolute world to us. And if you'd like to help support the channel like these fine people do, you can do so by following one of the links to either Patreon or YouTube members in the description of the video as well. Thank you all for watching though. Once again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay safe everyone, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.